Howdy folks, Jamboriki here, and in this video I'm going to be responding to a Patron requested review of Transformers from 2007, inspired by the Hasbro toy line. Sam Witwicky is a teenage boy who has been given his first ever car. He's mainly been wanting it so that he can impress his school crush Mikaela, but it turns out that this new car is actually a robot called Bumblebee. You see, there's currently a war between two kinds of transforming alien robots, the heroic Autobots, led by the good-hearted Optimus Prime, and the evil Decepticons, led by the menacing Megatron. The Decepticons want to use the powerful Allsparks box to turn Earth technology against all humans, because Megatron despises all of them. It's up to Sam and Mikaela to help the Autobots stop the Decepticons. However, their mission will be difficult when the US government is on their tail. While Transformers does follow the setup of E.T., you know, the boy and his pet alien narrative, it's somewhat different, because this time there's a multitude of aliens, these creatures can turn into vehicles, they're more superheroes than pets, and there's a whole race of evil aliens for them to battle. In concept, that does sound like a cool way to shake up an overdone premise, but the film still follows all the cliches of this narrative. From awkwardly hiding the aliens from concerned parents.
What are you doing? What are you doing? No, watch the path! Watch the path! Watch the path! Please, please, please! No, wait! No, no!
Oops, sorry, my bad.
Oh, you couldn't wait for 5 minutes. You couldn't wait for 5 minutes. I told you, just stay! Just stay!
To suspicious FBI agents getting in the way.
There's something a little fishy about you, your son, your little Taco Bell dog, and this whole operation you got going on here.
What operation?
That is what we are gonna find out.
I think direct contact.
Heck, take the narrative beats of the Iron Giant and a Herbie movie, then you have this film. It's that unoriginal. Yes, I know that not everything can be 100% original, but that's no excuse for something to be 10% original. However, saying that's the only problem with the film is an understatement, because there's more to why I think the execution fails. A lot of this comes down to Michael Bay's infamous direction style, which puts high-octane intensity and commercial appeal before good storytelling. The movie very rarely has a moment to pause for atmosphere or build-up. It's a constant direction of keep moving, keep talking, keep making noises, and don't stop. This is a big reason why I just couldn't get invested in this film. It doesn't matter how intense you make your movie, it can still end up being boring. Audiences need to actually care about what's happening. Simply being fast and loud isn't the key to fun and entertaining filmmaking. Unless you have a really low expectation of your audience's intelligence. There's also an off-putting sense of mean spirit trickling throughout the film. So many scenes are just contrived excuses to set up a noisy argument or awkward confrontation. Characters frequently snap at each other, make threats, or have shouting contests, as if the film thinks that hostility is the only way to convey emotion or create drama.
What was that? You eyeballing my piece, 50 Cent? Oh, you wanna go? Make something happen, do it. Because I promise you, I will bust you up.
It's like the filmmakers find friendly exchanges to be inherently boring, so they rely on the complete opposite of the spectrum, immature antagonizing and long-winded squabbling.
Look, you can't just bounce into my room like that. You gotta knock, you gotta communicate.
We knocked for 5 minutes.
You didn't knock, you were screaming at me, okay? This is repression, what you're doing here. You're ruining my youth, okay?
For Pete's sakes, you are so defensive.
Peaceful communication can be entertaining if written with wit and natural charm.
Never one to shrink from an honest challenge.
Get after it.
It's physics. All right, so if I lift it, I then rule Asgard?
Yes, of course.
I will be reinstituting prima nocta.
Then, when characters do break out into disagreements, the tension feels earned, because we've been made to care about their relationships. A lot of this movie's drama or humour derives from how confrontational, defensive, or aggressive characters can be, to the point where it's like they're tediously trying to one-up each other in awfulness, resulting in a huge cast of deeply unlikable people that make scenes more uncomfortable than fun. Everyone just seems to passionately hate each other in this film, and all of this resentment paints humankind as petty and spiteful, making me wonder why they should be saved from the Decepticons.
This is like a do whatever I want and get away with it badge.
Right.
I'm gonna lock you up forever. Oh God, you know what? Don't listen to him. He's just pissy because he's got to get back to guarding the mall.
Heck, even the Autobots themselves can be antagonistic towards humans, and they're supposed to be our galactic guardians.
The parents, very irritating. Yeah. Can I take them out? Ironhide, you know we don't harm humans.
I'd say that our lead characters are the only ones who come closest to being appealing, but even then, they have their flaws. The protagonist of our film, Sam Witwicky, is an immature and shallow teenage boy with only cars and girls on his mind. While he's not exactly that different to the guy who the film frames as wrong for Mikaela, he at least changes as a character throughout the narrative. Once he learns of Mikaela's own personal sacrifice and witnesses the torture the government is putting Autobots through, he suddenly realizes the bigger picture in life and grows up. Not only does he vouch for Mikaela by helping her restore her dignity,
we need to know everything you know. We need to know it now.
Okay. But first I'll take my car, my parents. Maybe you should write that down. Oh, and her juvie record. That's gotta be gone. Like, forever. But he also agrees to fight alongside the Autobots in this war, doing what he can as their only friend. Look, I won't lie, he's very difficult to like at first. Heck, I wouldn't blame audiences for switching off the movie after the first 30 minutes because of him. Plus, Shia LaBeouf's performance is painfully over the top, to the point where he looks like he's about to have a heart attack any second.
Listen to me. Thank God you. I've had the worst day ever. I've been followed here on my mother's bike, right? And my car's right there, and it's been following me here. So get out of the car.
Mikaela is actually quite a well-written character. She's not this damsel in distress who is dependent on Sam. She has dimension and development. Having grown up with a criminal father who stole cars, she ended up sacrificing her reputation by turning herself in to save her dad from jail. She now faces the consequences while growing up, because authority figures we meet mock or undermine her for being a former juvenile prisoner. But she holds this fact about herself with pride, because to her it was an important sacrifice.
Sam, I have a record because I wouldn't turn my dad in. One of you had to sacrifice anything in your perfect little life.
She's also a skilled mechanic, but those around her tend to belittle her knowledge of cars and driving, which makes her feel small.
Hey, how about you let me drive?
Oh, no. This is not a toy. These 22s, I don't want you grinding them. No. Why doesn't my little bunny just hop in the back seat?
When faced with danger, she doesn't just cry or scream. She will take action and use items around her environment as weapons. She also plays an integral part in the finale. When Bumblebee can't move, she cleverly links him to a tow truck and reverse drives down streets to help the Autobots shoot Decepticons. Mikaela has gained a very low reputation as a character to people, even though she's maybe the most fully dimensional and likable one in the film. I think the reason why people look over her depth comes down to the execution of script to screen. Mikaela is a character who feels demeaned by those who look down on her, but Michael Bay's direction doesn't help the audience better value her as a person, because he has a habit of letting the camera gaze at her body like an object. Yes, this shot is supposed to be a teenage boy's point of view, but it doesn't really do any favors to Sam, and we don't really necessarily need to see it as an audience. At the end of the day, it's just sleazy fan service. I'd also say that Megan Fox is the reason why the character fails in execution. While I don't think that Fox is as bad of an actress as people make her out to be, she lacks screen presence or natural charisma, performing a lot of her lines with wooden delivery or average effort.
I had fun, so, thanks for listening.
Oh, yeah.
You think I'm shallow? Huh?
I think you're sure. No. I think there's a lot more than meets the eye with you.
She's not awful, but she's not got the chops for a character like this, and her acting makes the character less interesting than she really is. You may have noticed that I've not really talked about a big aspect of this film, the title characters themselves, the Transformers, and that's because, well, they're barely in it. Sure, they are in the film and they play an important part in the plotline, but the live-action actors are the bigger stars, and I often forgot that this was a movie about alien robots. The Autobots vary in appeal. I like the noble majesty of Optimus Prime.
Sam Witwicky, you hold the key to Earth's survival.
And Bumblebee has a cute charm to his radio-inspired dialogue.
Can you talk?
XM satellite radio.
Digital cable, please.
Broadcasting system.
So you talk through the radio?
Actually, you do. You're wonderful. You're wonderful.
But I forgot about all the others, either because they didn't make a good impression, or didn't appear as much as Optimus and Bumblebee. I actually can't remember any of the Decepticons, they all look the same. Megatron is certainly an intimidating villain, but I can't say that he's all that great as a character. He's just your generic antagonist who wants to rule the world. His alien robot design is all that defines him, which isn't that much when he just looks like a bigger version of the other Decepticons.
Humans don't deserve to live. They deserve to choose for themselves. And you will die with them.
The fights between the Transformers are supposed to be a major selling point for this movie, but it's something I honestly couldn't care less about. These robots are so over-designed and intricately detailed that I often couldn't tell them apart or read what was going on. When I watch these battles, all I see are metal blurs clashing together, so I couldn't get invested. Throw in Michael Bay's overindulgent use of explosions and excessive choppy editing, then all you have is a load of eye-candy nonsense. All power to you if you can tell these robots apart and understand what's happening, but me personally, I was bored senseless. A big criticism against this movie is that it's pretty much military propaganda, and you know what? I can't argue there. The movie goes to an excessive length to put the military on a pedestal. I know that the studio had to portray the US military in a positive light in order to use their resources, but Michael Bay isn't simply flattering the American army, he's straight up brown-nosing them. From characters acting like the Secretary of Defense is a hot celebrity that young people can't help gushing over.
Guys, that's the Secretary of Defense.
I am so underdressed.
To the movie's message of no sacrifice, no victory, the kind of motto that a sergeant would drill into their troops.
You risked your life to protect the cube.
No sacrifice. No victory.
If I cannot defeat Megatron, you must push the cube into my chest. I will sacrifice myself to destroy it.
And the fact that every man and audience surrogate Sam is assigned to the role of soldier.
Okay, there's a tall white building with statues on top. Go to the roof. Set the flare. No. Signal the chopper and set the flare. Listen to me, you're a soldier now. All right, I need you to take this cube, get it into military hands while we hold them off. A lot of people are gonna die.
There's paying respect to a defense industry that protects the US, and then there's Finley disguising your film as a recruitment advert. When I watch this movie, I pretty much see a feature-length version of this.
It's the will to fight and determination to win, found inside each and every Marine that answers a nation's call. Battles won.
But the film isn't just an excuse to promote the army, there are product placements everywhere. I've seen television ad breaks with less commercial endorsements, with eBay playing a huge part in the narrative, and car models being filmed in the vein of a television commercial from Ford or Honda. There's a common defense that product placement creates realism, and I have to strongly disagree. These product placements aren't here for world building, but to take the audience out of the story so that they can be sold to. You can always make up your own product, one that looks familiar and recognizable without being distracting. And before you say that's impossible, here's an example. Here's another example. And another one. And another one. Unless you lack an imagination, you can always come up with a fictional product, something that's relatable without pandering to giant corporations. To conclude, Transformers is an over-directed, overindulgent and over-bloated movie with a cynical mean spirit, unfunny humour and nauseating action sequences. Some aspects are okay, but it's Michael Bay's unrestrained, shallow direction that lets a lot of the potential down. I think the film could have been at least a little better if the director had less power, there were less third parties involved, and there was a bigger focus on timeless quality. There's a lack of heart or passion, and that's mainly because most creative decisions are coming from superficial agendas. I really didn't enjoy this film, not even as mindless fun or for so bad it's good value. I had to split my viewing of this film into 2 days, I found it that miserable and boring. If you want to make your own Patron request a review, then head over to my Patreon now. Cheerio, folks.